WSBH Sioux Falls. This is KWSN Sioux Falls.
It's time for the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Kurtiss Riggs, the head coach of the 10-time champions of the Indoor Football League, the Sioux Falls Storm. The Kurtiss Riggs Show being brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and Orthopedic Institute. It's the Kurtiss Riggs Show on 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio KWS. Here's your host for the Kurtiss Riggs Show, the Silver Fox, Rich Rosti.
And good afternoon. Snowed on May 1st. Got snow outside, but it's melting very quickly, and I'm so glad that you made us a part of your afternoon by tuning in to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. I'm Rich Rosti, and coming up on the show, we'll be talking to the Storm head coach Kurtiss Riggs about the games this past week around the IFL, and we'll also talk about the Storm's loss down at Wichita Falls, 44-36 to the Nighthawks. And we'll talk about the game coming up this Saturday as the Storm's going to be hosting the Spokane Empire. A very critical game for the Sioux Falls Storm and for the Empire. They're the leaders of the Intense Conference. Sioux Falls Storm still leading in the United Conference. Then also on the show today, we'll be talking to a couple of Storm players, defensive back Carlton Watkins and backup quarterback and wide receiver Drew Powell, along with Jim Loria. We'll be talking to him about things coming up in the Storm game this Saturday as the Sioux Falls Storm going to be taking on the Empire. Then we'll also get a scouting report of Spokane by the head coach, Kurtiss Riggs. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by the official Storm sports medicine providers. That's Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital, the Storm official healthcare team, and the only 5-star rated hospital in Sioux Falls, and also by Orthopedic Institute, the one to trust. Now, coming up next, he is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And you're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio KWSN.
Moms,
When
dads,
you think rugged,
thanks to the Storm's all-new Champion State.
think tough. When you think big, think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer Trucks. We keep you moving.
Educational activities program for kindergarten, first, and second grade classrooms.
As the
Each
weather
student
changes, so do your plans for the hour, the day, and the week. You can expect the KSFY Severe Weather Team to bring you the most accurate forecasts, giving you early warnings when the weather gets rough and how long the storms last. With over 50 years of combined experience, you can expect more with the KSFY Severe Weather Team.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food, great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
At Midwest Family Care, we know your healthcare needs are as unique as...
Mom, have you seen my exploding bug zapper?
as each member in your family. That's why we focus on innovative and personalized care that's convenient for you. We offer quality time with our providers, same-day appointments, and even extended hours upon request. Expert care, just when you need it. Choose Midwest Family Care, a division of Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital. For more information, visit sfsh.com.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230, Sports Radio KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on KWSN. And this segment, our opening interview with the Storm head coach, Kurtiss Riggs, is brought to you by our great friends and great sponsors over at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And they've been sponsors since day one. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is and they deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls, and their subs are just breader. And I did not make a mistake when I said that. That's exactly what they want me to say. Their subs are breader. That's Good Sense Deli Fresh subs. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And, Coach, let's talk about some of the games around the IFL. It was an interesting weekend of ball games. They went from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Friday, the first game, Nebraska took on Cedar Rapids. Nebraska victorious in that contest, 50-38. No real surprise there, was there?
No, there wasn't. At times it's been hard to predict how they're going to play, but it seems like they played some pretty good football.
Then in game on Saturday, it was the Iowa Barnstormers defeated the Colorado Crush by a score of 33-21. And that was to me, that was a game that was closer than I was expecting.
Well, Colorado coming off the big win against Wichita Falls at home. I think they're playing people tough, though. And I think you have a group of guys that kind of feel like, no one wants them. And it's amazing how teams will come together in those types of situations. But I was surprised how low scoring the game was.
Well, with the high-powered offense of the Barnstormers, yes, they were held pretty much in check by Colorado. Interesting game in itself, but the Sioux Falls Storm have to play both of those ball clubs yet later on this year. Now, the one game that was pretty much a walkaway was Arizona defeated Green Bay 64-29. And Sioux Falls had just played Green Bay, and they played the Storm very tough. What did you think about that game down in Arizona?
Well, it just goes to show you how playing on the road is it's just not an easy task. I mean, you look at Colorado beats Wichita Falls at home and then travels to Iowa, loses. Green Bay plays us tough, then goes to Arizona, gets just shellacked. We go down to Wichita Falls and so forth. I mean, it's tough to play on the road. I think Coach Guy really watched our film and saw some things that could expose the Green Bay defense with the rushing attack. And it looked like, their running back, I think, had 135 yards rushing. So it sounds like they controlled the line of scrimmage.
And the last game of the weekend around the IFL was the Spokane Empire taking on the Salt Lake Screaming Eagles in Washington. And Spokane is the next opponent for the Sioux Falls Storm that's coming Saturday. And Spokane escaped with a win 31-29.
Escaped is a great way to describe it, Rich, because they Salt Lake had about every opportunity to win that game. And, in fact, they controlled all four quarters of that game. And then they just could not finish. Spokane was able to make a big play on a fourth down to take the lead. And then they went to squib kick, and it ricocheted off a guy up front. Salt Lake recovered at the 15-yard line of Spokane. And then they went 3 plays and out, went out for a field goal, missed the field goal, but then Spokane is trying to run the clock out, and they go to quarterback sneak, and the quarterback breaks through, and he runs for a touchdown. Well, they were only up 1. It was really the best thing that could have happened for Salt Lake, because now Salt Lake's within 8. They take it down and score, and the kid's so excited that he scores. He spikes the ball. It bounces over the wall. He gets a 15-yard penalty, and so then their 2-point conversion now is from the 18-yard line, and they don't get that, and Spokane gets a win.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was listening to the broadcast and watching it, and my good friend Larry Weir out there, the broadcaster, and he even thought maybe Salt Lake let Spokane score to save some time in the clock. The old coach, what was his name, up at Green Bay had done that, basically let a team score to give themselves some more time.
Yeah, I don't think he did that. I think watching it, it looked like they were trying to tackle, but it just worked out in their benefit, though.
You know, we talk about the schedule for the Sioux Falls Storm, still to play for the Sioux Falls Storm. Coming up, Spokane, Green Bay up there, Cedar Rapids here, Wichita Falls here, out in Colorado, and Nebraska and Iowa on the road with Iowa to finish up the season. A lot of football left in this season, isn't there?
A lot of football and really a tough schedule.
Yes.
I mean, You look at even when you play Green Bay and Cedar, you start to play teams more than twice. I mean, that's not an easy task. The teams are so familiar with each other. You're not going to surprise them by anything. And it's just going to be, let's line up and play this out and see who can win this game.
Coming up next week, it's going to be Arizona. It's going to be at Cedar Rapids. Nebraska is going to be at Wichita Falls, and that'll be a very interesting ball game. Those are both on Friday night. Saturday, it's going to be Iowa at Green Bay. Spokane's going to be here in Sioux Falls. And then on Monday, the 8th, Salt Lake's going to be at Colorado to face the other franchise team. So it's going to be an interesting week coming up this weekend. But, Coach, when we come back, we're going to be talking about that game down in Wichita Falls where the Storm was defeated by the Nighthawks down there 44-36. So, Coach, stay tuned. We'll be right back with you, and we'll talk about that game. And you're listening to this segment brought to you by Good Fresh Subs. See what fresh really is. Check it out. Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls. We'll be back with more of the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill lately, here's what you're missing. Specialty burgers like the Mac Burger, creamy mac and cheese on top of a bacon burger, and the tastiest wings and handmade pizzas on the east side of Sioux Falls. Haven't spent happy hour at Eastway? Don't miss Twofers Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Deuces Wild Saturday and Sunday, 3 to 6 p.m. $2.75 well drinks and domestic beers. Miss a day at Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill, and you miss a lot.
Possibility. From starting a family to starting a business. Everywhere there's possibility, there's Premier. Believe in possibility. First
Tissue and joints that just made that ordinary wave an extraordinary occurrence. At Orthopedic Institute, orthopedic medicine is all we do. So if you had trouble with any part of that little exercise, we're here to help. Orthopedic Institute. We're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Are you looking for that first apartment? Better yet, have the kids moved away and you're ready to downsize and enjoy the freedom of no lawn care, snow removal, or raking the fall leaves? Consider Rod's Property Management with 18 different apartment rental locations to choose from across Sioux Falls with 1, 2, and 3-bedroom options. They offer many different price ranges and amenities to suit anyone's budget. Since the very beginning of 1998, Rod's Property Management has operated on the principle of people first. Check out their property locations and available new apartment openings at rodsproperty.com or call 605-728-5960. Come move in today and stay for a lifetime.
The Sheraton Sioux Falls is proud to serve as the official host hotel for all IFL teams this season. With the finest hospitality amenities and spacious guest rooms anywhere in the region, let the Sheraton reserve your next overnight stay, business meeting, or luncheon. When you're making plans to come cheer on the Storm, enjoy our on-site restaurant and lounge before the game, an indoor heated pool and whirlpool for relaxation afterward. To make your reservations today, call 605-331-0100 or go to SheratonSiouxFalls.com.
The meltdown should continue through the overnight hours. We'll have the sky becoming partly cloudy, a low above freezing 33, the wind becoming light out of the northwest. Warmer tomorrow, partly cloudy, high of 61, west wind 5 to 10. A chance of showers and isolated thunderstorms tomorrow night with a low of 40. Then Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sun, chance of scattered storms and a high of 62. From KSFY TV, I'm meteorologist Phil Schreck.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge, the Storm away game viewing party hosts. And last Saturday, they had another fantastic crowd out there. More fun to watch Storm football with other Storm fans and other friends. It's a lot of fun. Eastway Bowl, Eastway Lounge. Also great specials there by Bud Light and Bud Light Taps, and also Budweiser and Beal Distributing. The next viewing party is Saturday the 13th when the Storm travels up to Green Bay to take on the Blizzard. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, Sioux Falls Storm goes down to Wichita Falls, Texas. It's a long bus trip, and this time it was a very long bus trip coming home after the Storm was defeated 44-36. Tell us about that trip.
Yeah, just like you described. It was long and a tough game and a longer trip back, and we came back in rain the entire way and then got welcomed with snow. I think, the loss just brought the gloominess out of all.
You know, a guy came up to me and he's asked me this morning, he said, did the Storm lose down in Wichita Falls? And I said, yeah, we did. He said, well, that explains the snow here in Sioux Falls on May 1st. He says the Storm lose, hell freezes over, and it snows in South Dakota on May 1st.
Yeah, there's got to be a correlation there, right?
They have to be somewhere along the line. You know, when you think about this game, and I'm going to get to the game in just a little bit, but one thing that you and I were talking after the game about the season and wins and losses and things like that. When you meet with the ball club, and you have always invited me to the very first meeting with your team at the way back in February, never once have I ever heard you say that the goal of the Sioux Falls Storm is to be undefeated for a season. The goal for the Sioux Falls Storm is to win a championship. Being undefeated sometimes happens, but that's not the goal of the Sioux Falls Storm, is it?
No, yeah, you're exactly right, Rich. I mean, you always, you don't want to lose. It's our expectation is when we step on the field, we're going to win. But as a coach, you realize that, losing is just as much a part of a season as winning. It's what you do with that. And I think we all forget about that. And that really got me thinking a lot about the reaction of this loss from my perspective, our coaches, our players, our fans, on just how we compete now and what message it sends and how it trickles down and even at the youngest levels, how we kind of forget. And it's different at this level. I mean, but it's a loss, and it happens. What's tough, though, I think you said it, Rich, is in football, you only get a game once a week. Basketball, you lose, you get another game in 2 days, and you get another chance right away to overcome that. But football, it sits with you, and you analyze and think about every possibility and perspective of why that happened and how you can change that.
I'm going to play our first highlight right here. And I checked the records. The only other team, or the last team besides Cedar Rapids, to defeat the Sioux Falls Storm, and they have defeated the Sioux Falls Storm 3 times. But the last team to defeat the Sioux Falls Storm was the Chicago Slaughter. And this is not at home, but on road games. Chicago Slaughter. And this was April 27th, 2013. 2013, and the Chicago Slaughter defeated the Sioux Falls Storm in Chicago 61-56. I'm sorry. I'm the radio guy. I'm not the PA guy. I'm sorry. I'm on the radio right now. I'm sorry I can't help you, but thanks for stopping by. That happens all the time. Somebody comes up, they want to announce somebody lost a slipper somewhere, and they want me to announce it. So, folks, if you've seen a slipper, turn it into the front desk here at the facility, and the young lady's looking for it right now. So, anyway. What was I talking about? Oh, that's right, Chicago. Chicago Slaughter defeated the Sioux Falls Storm back in 2013. That had a lot of things in it, but I had to play that because that's actually what had happened when I was on live.
Well, I mean, you're just such a friendly guy, too, Rich. I mean, that's, everyone wants to. Every time we walk into a facility, you're usually the first person that people come up to. So that's understandable. Yeah, that's a pretty amazing stat. And you think about, two of those losses to Cedar Rapids. I mean, one of those, we were undefeated, and we opted to sit our starters so that we didn't have guys get hurt going into the playoffs. The undefeated season was not our goal, just like you said. So we sat Tyler Knight, Chris Dixon, Charlie Sanders. I mean, we very easily could have played to win that game and be undefeated, but that's not the goal, and that's not what we play for. And this was part of the season, and Wichita Falls did some great things to us, against us, and they helped us recognize some things, and hopefully we can get better from them.
Also in 2013, for folks that have not remembered that far back. Storm lost 4 times that season and still won the title by beating Nebraska 43-40. That was back in 2013. In 2008, Storm lost 3 times during the course of the season and wound up winning 2 titles. One was the United Bowl, and then also a week later taking on the Louisiana Swashbucklers in the battle of the United and Intense Football League. So losses happen. Championships are what you play for. Even the New England Patriots had a couple losses last year before winning the Super Bowl. So losses are a part of the game. Coach, when you think about this game down in Wichita Falls, how did Wichita Falls beat the Storm, or how did the Storm beat themselves, or really kind of what happened down?
Well, I think it was really a combination of both those things that you just said, Rich. I mean, I think Wichita Falls did some good things, but I think, we did some things to really hurt ourselves. That first half of football, defensively, we played really poor. And then second half, we came out and played some good football. It's just we had some critical mistakes at critical times. We had 2 roughing the passers on third down situations that were really big ones. And those are mistakes that cost us. I mean, those are on us. We've got to fix those mistakes. You can't throw the quarterback down after he throws the ball and not expect to get a call. You can't hit him in the head, even though it was just a tough situation because the quarterback drops down, but Claude still hits him right in the head. And so it's going to get called. They're going to call that every time. And, the goal is safety and to protect it. It was just at such, they would have been 4th and 20 at that point.
Right.
So, we made those mistakes. We had turnovers. It really seemed like when Corey Williams went out and Lorenzo then was playing with essentially 3 new receivers for our offense, he started to try to make plays and didn't rely on the system. And he played probably one of his worst games of the year. And that's just cannot happen. I mean, when you have guys hurt, you need your best players need to really step up. And I think he took it in a way where he thought he had to make all the plays instead of just, hey, let's go out and move the chains, be productive, and we'll get points. And that wasn't the case.
Lorenzo Brown is working with, like Coach said, 3 different wide receivers. He had a defensive back in Richard Smith. He had the backup quarterback, Powell, coming on. And also, then he had a newly signed wide receiver in Goodman. So he had a cast of new characters. And sometimes when you have all of that situations, like Zoe threw a couple picks, but maybe those receivers weren't in the same spot that he was expecting them to be compared to other receivers. So there's a big variance, and a yard or 2 can make a difference between a great catch or an interception.
They can. I think the interceptions were just poor throws, poor reads on his part.
Okay.
What I think really happened, though, Rich, is you found Lorenzo waiting. He started to become like he was a rookie quarterback, and he was waiting for guys to get open.
Okay.
Whereas instead of anticipating them to be open and throwing them open, you found Lorenzo just sitting there waiting. And then what happens from that is when you wait, you end up getting more holding calls. I think we had 3 of those. And all that is because the timing is just totally thrown off. And it really affected us. And we need to be able to overcome those things. We got to be able to find a way. I mean, those things are going to happen in games. And it really caught up to us being thin in the skilled spots. And it's something that I think we'll always do, though. We'll be heavy up front. I would rather have a DB come over and play receiver than have someone that's never played offensive line go in and play offensive line.
Yeah.
And that's just something we've always followed, and sometimes it gets you, and most times it doesn't.
What was one of the key things that you told your ball club after that contest was completed down in Wichita Falls?
Well, I told them we didn't handle adversity very well, especially the first half. I really thought the guys got frustrated. They showed their frustration. They didn't handle the frustration where you turn it on to your opponent. They started to finger point, and they kind of sat back and let Wichita Falls do what they wanted and then tried to react. I felt like we didn't have a lot of great leadership, someone to step up and really say, hey, we're okay. We're going to be fine. And I felt like there comes a point when certain players have to make plays. And you just didn't really see that from the guys that you would expect to make plays for us.
Well, Coach, one thing about it, you've got another game to play against Wichita Falls coming up on May 27th. There's going to be a rematch up here in Sioux Falls, and that one is going to be a dandy. Sometimes you think about, well, you don't like to play a team 3 times. You know, when you've split with them, it's kind of nice to have a rubber match, too.
Oh, yeah. That was the first thing I thought of was, thank goodness we get to play them again. And really, it had nothing to do with the tiebreaker element. It had everything to do with no matter what happens, we're going to walk off the field next time we play them knowing that we left it all on the field. And I didn't feel like we walked off the field down in Wichita Falls leaving it all on the field. I just felt like there was so much more we could do. And so you can bet next time when we go to play them that, you know, they're going to make plays. They're a very explosive team. They're going to. But we're going to be able to handle and react better to when they do that. And that's not something we did very well down there.
Coach, great comments talking about this game. Later on, you and I are going to be talking about the Spokane Empire in more detail because they're coming into town next Saturday. So we'll talk to you then, Coach.
All right. Thanks, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And when we come back, we're going to be talking to a defensive back, Carlton Watkins, with the Sioux Falls Storm. And you're listening to this segment brought to you by Eastway Bowl and Eastway Lounge. Coming up, the next viewing party is going to be on May 13th when the Storm goes up to Green Bay Blizzard. You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230. Sports Radio, KWSN.
When people think of Uncle Ed's Specialty Meats, what comes to mind is their 40 different flavors of brats and sausages, like Philly cheesesteak and taco, to name a couple, or their choice of Black Canyon Angus steaks, or maybe their ability to cater any event no matter how large or small. What may not come to mind is their incredible wood-roasted prime rib, hot and ready to go every Friday from 4 to 7. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1 mile east of Walmart on East 10th. Stop out and get educated.
At Midwest Family Care, we know your health care needs are
Your
as unique
body
as...
is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today.
Your home, auto, business, and life to keep everything you value safe, sound, and secure. That's Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit the Insurance Connection in Sioux Falls today at insconnection.com.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230. Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. And after the interview, we'll take your third call at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets to the next home game. That's this Saturday, as the Storm hosts the Spokane Empire, and that one's going to be a dandy. So third caller, 336-1230, 4 free tickets courtesy of Wingstop of Sioux Falls. And now joining us by the fan line, defensive back with the Sioux Falls Storm, Carlton Watkins. Carlton, thanks for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You know, one thing I had you fill out information sheet at the beginning of the season, and you put down, if you had a nickname, and you put down Cobb. How did you get that nickname, and what does that really mean?
Well, it's really just a generation nickname. It's something my dad's father was called. I really don't know too much of the origin. He passed away when I was born. But my dad reminded everybody of him. They called him that. Got passed to me when I got my dad's original name. And that's pretty much a generation nickname. They like to call my little brother it. My son, his son's going to be called it.
Well, that's really cool. That you have a nickname that passed down from generation to generation, and that's really cool. This is your second year with the Sioux Falls Storm, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did you grow up, and where did you go to college?
I'm from Medina, Ohio, around the Cleveland, Akron area. I went to college at Tiffin University. It's a Division II school in the GLIAC conference.
Okay.
Over by Toledo area, BG.
Well, tell us about your time at Tiffin. I've heard of Tiffin many different times. I think they've had some pretty good success in football over there, haven't they?
Yeah, they had some great success in the NAIA, I believe. And I got there around a few years into Division II in the GLIAC, and it was real interesting and eye-opening there, just because I went as a walk-on at receiver, and I was a receiver. That's all I known and wanted to be, and pretty much with how financial situations were set up, my best opportunity to get a scholarship was to play DB, and we really just needed DBs, and they had a JV team. I ended up playing both ways in the JV game. Did enough to impress the coaches to where head coach called me in for a meeting, and he was like, I hate to lose you on this side, but we're going to need you more on that side. And, education was the most important thing to me, so whatever kept me in school, I went with. And I like that because, as guys, I played football since I was 8 years old, and I had to learn a new position, so it was just like learning the game all over again, and that's what just made it fun. What's really keeping me going. But from a walk-on to, not really knowing if you're going to be in school for long, it just really opened my eyes to where, you won't get nothing out of life what you don't put into it,
Well, that's fantastic. Well, you talked about getting the education was the most important thing, and being able to get a scholarship would allow you to be able to receive that education. What did you major in, and what did you get for your education as far as your training, and as far as what kind of a degree did you get?
Went to school for criminal justice, law enforcement focus, and a minor in business administration.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. I have a daughter that got the same criminal justice education, and that she wound up being a counselor, not a counselor, but she was a parole officer. Parole officer is what she became. And, very interesting, very hard career also, but good for you. What would you like to do with that education, Carlton, once you're done playing football?
That's really something I've actually been putting a lot of thought into. I internshiped with the bar actually in Columbus, and it really was like private security part of it. And I was thinking of, maybe going into something like that, or eventually maybe joining the academy. It's so many things that I was learning, and that was one of the amazing things at Tiffin. Like, it showed us so many different things we could take with it. But I also looked into the parole officer just because I like to influence as much and as positive as I can. And there's a lot of back home wise people I know, like I feel like more of them need guidance more than like discipline. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So that's what I like, just because of, you see a different side of it growing up, and you know, then you get educated on it, and it just really opens up the world and to show how easy life can be when you're playing. So
we're talking to Carlton Watkins. They call him Cobb, third generation in his family to go by that nickname, and talking about his life goals and things that he wants to do after football. But you're playing football right now. You're playing it at a very high level. You had a big night the other night down in Wichita Falls. You're a leading tackler. You had 9 tackles. For the year, 32.5 tackles, which is third for the Storm. And you have a half a tackle for loss, an interception, a broken pass. So you're playing at a high level. What is it that makes you a good defensive back in the Indoor Football League? What are your real talents?
I believe I can do a little bit of everything, but I really pride myself in my tackling, just for, I guess they could say, surprises people. It doesn't surprise me, but it surprises others when they see me. But it just drives me because, like I said earlier, I was a receiver, offensive minded for so long, and then I came over, and it's really a difference. And it's a defense win championships a motto. I was a Steel Curtain fan. You know, it just, energy is something that it can really drive me, because everybody's looking at the receivers to get the ball, and everybody really pays attention to the guy trying to stop him.
Well, the thing about it is that you get to put some licks on those offensive players, and that's always a good time too, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, Cobb, great to have you on the Kurtiss Riggs Show. We'll see you Saturday with the Sioux Falls Storm. Folks, he wears number 24 for the Sioux Falls Storm. Cobb, thanks for being on the Kurtiss Riggs Show.
Thanks for having me.
Carlton Watkins of the Sioux Falls Storm. When we come back, we'll be visiting with Drew Powell, backup quarterback and wide receiver for the Sioux Falls Storm. You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. Give us a call, 336-1230, 4 free tickets for the game on Saturday. This is the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on KWSN.
Are you looking for that first apartment? Better yet, have the kids moved away and you're ready to downsize and enjoy the freedom?
Success in business is about growing your bottom line. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this: increase revenue and decrease spending. This is where we come in. At A&B Business Solutions, our managed print services will optimize your print environment, reducing your total printing costs while improving workflow. Managed print services will impact your bottom line. MPS, it's just another solution from A&B, the company that helps you solve, simplify, and save.
#1 with Sioux Falls Storm fans. It's the Insurance Connection and Auto Owners Insurance.
When you think rugged. When you think tough. When you think big. Think of the best transportation solutions mile after mile. When you think big, think Boyer Trucks. We keep you moving.
As the weather changes, so do your plans for the hour, the day, and the week. You can expect the KSFY Severe Weather Team to bring you the most accurate forecasts, giving you early warnings when the weather gets rough and how long the storms last. With over 50 years of combined experience, you can expect more with the KSFY Severe Weather Team.
If you like to bowl, roll on into Eastway Bowl. Hey, wait a minute. Eastway Bowl is more than just bowling. It's a full of fun entertainment center. There's many things to do. Games, and more games, plus food. Great food. Come into our full-service sports bar and grill where you'll find terrific drinks with our popular late-night specials. Watch all your favorite sporting events at Eastway. Visit our website to make your bowling reservations and find out more about the full fun experience. Eastway Bowl and Entertainment Center, where there's something for everyone.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. And this segment brought to you by Wingstop of Sioux Falls. More than a meal, it's a flavor experience. And after the interview, we'll take your third call, 336-1230. 4 free tickets coming up to the next home game. That's going to be this Saturday as the Sioux Falls Storm hosts the Spokane Empire. And we've been having a little bit of difficulty getting in touch with Drew Powell. And if Drew's out there listening, just call 336-1230 and we'll get you on. If not, evidently just having some difficulty getting through to him on his cell phone. But coming up this Saturday, again, the Sioux Falls Storm are going to be taking on the Spokane Empire, and they are leading the Intense Conference, and the Sioux Falls Storm leading the United Conference. So this is going to be a matchup of the two powerhouses around the Indoor Football League, and that game is going to be a dandy. Spokane Empire coming into this game, they have a couple of losses, but they have played exceptional football. And the Sioux Falls Storm, coming off a loss at the hands of Wichita Falls, going to be taking on Spokane. That's again this Saturday at 7:05 at the Denny Sanford Center. Still checking to see if we can get in touch with Drew. And we possibly have him on the line right now. We'll wait and see how that all transpires. But coming up still, we're going to be talking to the Storm head coach, Kurtiss Riggs. We're going to be talking to him about the Spokane Empire. Jim Loria is also going to be on the show to fill us in on things going on around the Sioux Falls Storm family community. There's always something that the Sioux Falls Storm has going on. This year they have, over the past year, 2.5 years, the Sioux Falls Storm have raised over $311,000 that they put back into the community for various charities and noble causes and for individuals and families. And it's just great to be a part of such an organization. And Todd Tryon, the owner, has established this, and Jim Loria has instrumented it, been instrumental in getting this all taken care of, and have raised so much money for the Sioux Falls community. It has just been a fantastic experience with the Sioux Falls Storm, being able to put so much and give so much back to the community. Well, unable to get in touch with Drew Powell, but we'll still take your third call at 336-1230 for 4 free tickets, courtesy of Wingstop of Sioux Falls. And we'll be back with the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs, after we pause for this timeout. This is the Kurtiss Riggs Show right here on 98.1, 1230. Sports Radio, KWSN.
Moms, dads, this year, the Storm have once again put together the most affordable birthday party anywhere for kids 12 and under. Get this, for parties of 10 or more at any Storm regular season game, your party will receive 10 tickets, 10 Pepsi beverages, and 2 large pizzas for the group to enjoy from Spectra Food Services. Plus 10 free single-day admissions to the 2017 Sioux Empire Fair that opens up August 4th, and much more for just $99. You can't beat this deal. Go to SiouxFallsStorm.com for more details.
When people think of Uncle Ed's specialty meats, what comes to mind is their 40 different flavors of brats and sausages, like Philly cheesesteak and taco, to name a couple, or their choice of Black Canyon Angus steaks, or maybe their ability to cater any event no matter how large or small. What may not come to mind is their incredible wood-roasted prime rib, hot and ready to go every Friday from 4 to 7. They're open Tuesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., 1 mile east of Walmart on East 10th. Stop out and get educated.
At Midwest Family Care, we know your healthcare needs are as unique as...
Mom, have you seen my exploding bug zapper?
as each member in your family. That's why we focus on innovative and personalized care that's convenient for you. We offer quality time with our providers, same-day appointments, and even extended hours upon request. Expert care, just when you need it. Choose Midwest Family Care, a division of Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital. For more information, visit sfsh.com.
No matter what you do, getting the job done is what it's all about. And that's where Boyer Trucks and Western Star come in. For 50 years, Western Star has been in the lead when it comes to legendary reliability and toughness. Here in Sioux Falls at 2101 East Benson Road, with extended parts and service hours, Boyer Trucks has been keeping you moving since 1996. Look to Boyer Trucks for diesel engine parts and service for all makes, including Cat, Detroit Diesel, Cummins, and Ford. Boyer Trucks services all Ford vehicles, from the Focus to the mighty F-750. Boyer Trucks, we keep you moving.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back to the Kurtiss Riggs Show. On this segment brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. And each week, our game preview is brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs on 917 South Cliff Avenue. Sliced fresh, baked fresh, made fresh. Come see what fresh really is and that's at Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. They deliver anywhere in Sioux Falls. He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. Coach, we've been talked a little bit earlier about the Spokane Empire, and the Storm's going to be taking on the Empire this coming Saturday. Spokane leading the Intense Conference. They are 7-2 on the year. We talked about them a little bit, but when you would try to wrap up in kind of a nutshell the prowess of the Spokane Empire, where would you put that as far as their best abilities and their most successful areas as a team and franchise?
Probably, I would say just aggressive. I mean, they are a very aggressive team, defensively and offensively. And sometimes offensively that gets them in trouble. And sometimes it gets them in trouble defensively too. But for the most part, they really come after you. When they go to tackle, they have 5 guys there to tackle. They have a lot of big hitters, and they just try to create constant pressure on you to make mistakes.
One of their leading tacklers is Hardy Tulio. 36 tackles as of the game this past week. He is a very aggressive defensive back. And, you talk about Nick Haig, and he's a guy that we've had to talk to around the league. He's played I think he was at Cedar Rapids before this. He comes in the ballgame 29.5 tackles. He's got 5 for loss. He's got 4 sacks. And he's a career-high tackler, 102 tackles last year. I mean, Nick Haig is also another one of those very aggressive-type defensive players, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Him and Bacchial both are, I mean, they're just like linebackers, both of them. And, Nick Haig can go down and play some defensive line at times when needed. And you see him move their personnel around a little bit. But for the most part, I mean, it's a group that's played a couple years together now, and they're very comfortable with each other.
Well, when you talk about these Spokane Empire offense, you got to be talking about their quarterback, Charles Dowdell. And he has about 2,000 yards in passing already this year. He's got, I don't know how many touchdowns. He's got a whole bunch of them. Tell us about Charles Dowdell and what he does as a playmaker for the Spokane Empire.
Well, he's one that at times you watch him and he can make such silly mistakes, but then the very next play can break out of the pocket, have a 38-yard touchdown run where he breaks 4 or 5 tackles. And he could throw an interception where it just looks terrible, and then the very next play have just a beautiful touchdown pass or really rifled into a small window. And it's those Jekyll and Hyde moments that's got to be tough for Shaq, but also rewarding at times too.
Then there's some other characters, you might call it, in their cast of characters. But they have some very good talent offensively. Trevor Kennedy, he had been, I think, one of the special teams players of the year a couple years ago. Muku Koloko, running back. Also Brian Prey as a wide receiver. Brian has been around the league. We've seen him many different teams. Those 3 individuals, tell us about how they fit into the schemes for Coach Shackelford.
Well, if Kennedy's playing, which we expect he will play against us, he is the key for their offense. He's the catalyst. And, if he played every game this season, I'm sure he would be leading the charge for MVP of the league or offensive MVP. He's just a dynamic talent that really can do a lot of things. His diversity is what really makes him so special. But Brian Prey's having a great year. He's really their go-to guy in the system right now, and seems to be the one that is just the one that's kind of taken over the offense for big plays.
Now
then, the other one is the kick returner running back from Bemidji. He is filled in very well for Trevor Kennedy when Kennedy hasn't played.
And I'm trying to catch who he was. I don't see I have him on my notes specifically, but was that Sam Charles?
No, that's the guy you had mentioned.
I know why you didn't mention his name. I had to practice it to say it. Muku Koloko.
Yeah, there you go. It sounded like one word when you first said it, but he's done a very good job for them, and also is very dimensional with his skill set.
Yes, he was the Special Teams Player of the Year with Bemidji in 2015. He sat out last year. He has 5 kick returns for a touchdown, 4th in rushing in the IFL with 500 yards, and that was in 2015. One other question about personnel. We noticed in the last 2 ball games, offensive lineman that they have brought in, Mania Smith, a longtime player with the Sioux Falls Storm. I thought he had retired, evidently brought out of retirement to play for the Spokane Empire. Do you feel, do you know, do you think, you speculate, will he play against the Storm coming up next Saturday?
Well, he could. I mean, he's played the last 2 games, and, you know, we have to go in expecting that he'll play against us. And, you know, it's something you never like to do against probably, you know, the best to ever play. But it could happen. And so, you know, I mean, we'll see him in Sioux Falls.
6-time champion with, he was 6-time first team All-IFL, won 8 titles in 8 IFL seasons, most of those with the Sioux Falls Storm, a couple with Billings as he played up there. But, Coach, bottom line as far as taking on the Spokane Empire this week?
Well, bottom line, really, at this point, Rich, is we just we need to circle the wagons, and we need to just worry about ourselves. We don't need to worry about trying to match a team score for score or go in with a philosophy that just isn't ours. And I think that's what we've kind of done the last 2 weeks. We just need to, what do we need to do? What do we need to do well? We need to be able to have a good mix run and pass. We need to be able to be aggressive, bend but don't break style of defense. And I think if we can come out and just worry about ourselves and not get wrapped up in the other team, what they're doing or how we need to play because of what they're doing, I think we'll be okay. But it's something that we need to fix, and we need to fix it sooner than later.
Health-wise, how about that as far as any players coming back or more guys going out?
Yeah, I mean, we're in rough shape, Rich. It's, you know, one, at this point in the season, you expect to have injuries. You just don't expect to have so many. And so, you know, we'll see tonight. The guys all had treatment on Sunday. They have workouts and meetings tonight. We'll see after that how we're doing. And then we'll kind of make an assessment from there and see, you know, who we can count on, who's questionable, and who we know for sure is out.
Sounds like a deal, Coach. We'll talk to you on Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Rich.
He is the head coach of the Sioux Falls Storm, Kurtiss Riggs. And this segment has been brought to you by Good Sense Deli Fresh Subs. Come see what fresh really is. Coming up next, we'll be talking to Jim Loria right here on the Kurtiss Riggs Show, right here on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio KWSN.
If you haven't been to Eastway Sports Lounge and Grill lately, here's what you're missing.
Possibility. From starting a family to starting a business. Everywhere there's possibility, there's Premier. Believe in possibility. First Premier Bank.
Your body is a complex arrangement of bone and tissue that requires only the best to maintain it. At Orthopedic Institute, that's our specialty. Our services have been specifically tailored to provide the best orthopedic care in the region. Orthopedics is what we do. That's why Orthopedic Institute is the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
Breathe easier when you have your ducts cleaned by Waterbury. Call us today.
Success in business is about growing your bottom line. Now, there are 2 ways you can do this: increase revenue and decrease spending. This is where we come in. At A&B Business Solutions, our managed print services will optimize your print environment, reducing your total printing costs while improving workflow. Managed print services will impact your bottom line. MPS, it's just another solution from A&B, the company that helps you solve, simplify, and save.
Orthopedic medicine is all we do. So if you had trouble with any part of that little exercise, we're here to help. Orthopedic Institute. We're the one to trust to keep your body in motion.
You're listening to the Kurtiss Riggs Show, brought to you by Sioux Falls Specialty Hospital and by Orthopedic Institute on 98.1, 1230 Sports Radio, KWSN. Back to the show. Here's Rich Rosti.
And welcome back for our final segment of the Kurtiss Riggs Show. This segment brought to you by Boyer Trucks, and they archive, or they sponsor the archiving of the Kurtiss Riggs Show right on the Storm website. That's Boyer Trucks, celebrating our 90th year sales parts service. We keep you going. And joining us via the fan line, Director of Corporate Partnerships with the Sioux Falls Storm, Jim Loria. Jim, how you doing today on this wintry, now spring day?
There you go, Rich. The tale of two cities in two moments. Wearing a winter jacket in the morning, sweating in the afternoon.
Isn't that about the truth of it? Well, anyway, Jim, coming up Saturday, the Sioux Falls Storm going to be entertaining the Spokane Empire, and there's always things going on as far as the Sioux Falls Storm are concerned, and also during the game itself. Bring us up to date what's going on.
Sure. Well, we have the annual Arby's Feeding South Dakota. It's their backpack program this Saturday night, and it's a very important one for those who are familiar with the backpack program and even Feeding South Dakota. So there's a couple things, Rich. We're encouraging everybody to bring boxes of macaroni and cheese to the game. It's one of their top needed items for those families that need meals to survive every week. And anyhow, so we're encouraging you to bring those to the game. And then ultimately, we're going to have you write your section, seat, and road numbers on every box. We'll have you then donate them to the bins in the building, little barrels set up. Excuse me. And then I'm hearing music in the background. Rich, we have to go?
Well, no, we've got a few seconds left here, Jim. We got about 25 seconds. So anything else that you wanted to bring into the broadcast?
Well, there'll be prizes given away, and one of them in particular, Arby's, is going to donate a year's worth of combo meals to those who donate. There'll be one lucky fan that will win that prize by donating macaroni and cheese boxes at the game Saturday night.
Thank you, Jim. Always good stuff. Wish we had more time today.
Thank you, Rich.
This is the Kurtiss Riggs Show. Good night, everybody.